Hey rail fans and model railroaders, welcome back to Penn Central 99's channel. Today we're going to add some custom decals to some HO scale vehicles. You can see here I've got a plain white dry box truck, and here I've got a white with a orange cab reefer truck, and what we're going to do is we're going to add some custom decals to these. I'll show you how I do it. It's pretty simple. Turns out pretty nice. Okay, let's go over our list of materials for this video. Like I said, we just got some white box vehicles. These are some plain Jane Scene Masters by Walthers. Like I said, this is a white box with an orange cab. Yet another plain Jane white box, white cab truck. It's going to be pretty easy to decal these because white's a good color to put some decals on. As you can see here, I've got some decal paper. This particular package is made by Testers. It says here, you can see right there that these are clear. This one here, same thing as from Testers, but these are white. The reason for the difference between clear and white, in case you're not aware, printers do not print white. Printers assume that you're using white paper to print whatever text or decal or graphics out. So if you have white graphics or white letters that you need to print, you need to use white sheets. Otherwise, the clear sheets or the clear material will work out on the graphics and the decals that you want. The other thing that you need is obviously you need your decals that you're looking for. This plain white truck is going to have the Lowe's decals. The reefer truck with the orange cab is going to be a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup delivery truck. The reason for that is I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I think most of you know that. I was born and raised about 40 miles from Hershey, Pennsylvania, where they make all the chocolate. I was going to make a Hershey's chocolate delivery truck, but since the family loves peanut butter cups, I elected to go with those logos. Finding the graphics or the decals is not relatively difficult. Just go on the internet, look for the graphics or the decals that you're looking for, save them to a file, and then just print them out on the decal paper. As you can see, I've sized these so that they'll fit on the trucks. They turned out pretty nice. One of the things that you got to remember is after you print your decals out on your paper, you need to use some dull coat. Okay, I've got some Testers dull coat here. No rocket science behind that, but after you print your decals out on your paper, you need to use the dull coat to seal that the decal onto the paper, because these are water slide decals. If you don't use something to seal it, when you dip it in the water, your graphics and your ink are just going to run off the paper. So you need to use something to seal the ink onto the paper so that it doesn't run off. The other thing you need to watch out, unless you wash your hands frequently, I suggest using plain old gloves to keep your fingerprints off of the trucks, because when you go to weather it, whether you're using chalks or acrylic paint, your fingerprints will show up. Even though you might not be able to see them, your fingerprints will show up. So either wash your hands frequently. I recommend wearing gloves. I'm going to wear gloves to do this. The other thing that you'll probably need is a tray. I've got a couple of trays here. These are just some cheese slice trays out of the grocery store, and because I'm going to take the trucks apart, every piece is going to come apart for me to decal this, and I'm just going to use these trays to keep the parts in. That way they don't get mixed up or messed up, and I know all the parts in one tray go on that particular truck. So let's go ahead and get started on taking these trucks apart, and then we'll get the decals on. If you've never taken apart one of these Scene Master trucks or Boley truck, there are two screws underneath here, as you can see, And these two screws hold all this stuff together. So once we loosen these screws up, the chassis and the frame and the wheels will separate from the box and the cab, and it's just a matter of taking it apart. You don't have to take this apart to put the decals on. That's just the way I do it. Because once I get the decals on, I'm going to go back over it with the dull coat to seal it onto the vehicle, and I just like a nice even all around coat that everything looks even and equal, because if as you can see here, if I didn't take this apart, the dull coat would never get down between the cab and that box there. So like I say, you don't have to take this apart, but that's the way I do it. So let me go ahead and get my stuff in the tray. As you can see, I now have everything separated. There you can see part of the chassis. There's the back wheels. There's the windshield and the windows. There's the interior. If you don't take it apart, like I said, that's up to you, but I recommend that you do, because when you go to dull coat this, any dull coat that you spray on the windshield, it's going to fog it or cloud it up. So as you can see, we've got everything separated. The underside of the cab there, but we've got all our parts. There's our box, front wheels. So we'll go ahead and get this started. One of the things that I did notice, I don't know if you can see this or not, but as you saw from the opening shot, this is in fact in a Scene Master blister pack, but I don't know if you notice it or if you can see it on there. The underside of the box says Boley. So good old Walters is trying to pull a fast one. All they did when they bought Boley out was change the blister packs. So this is going to be the Lowe's truck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an X-Acto knife and I'm going to cut out the decals. These two are for the sides, and these two here are for on the door decals. So we'll go ahead and get those cut out and we'll get them on there. Okay, I've got the box out. I've also got some foam, or some eggshell foam here, to help rest the truck on there. And one, so I don't scratch it, and two, I always need an extra set of hands to do stuff. As you can see, what I marked the center of the box. Right there's a little pencil mark on the top, because what I'm going to do is obviously I need to center this, or try to center it on the side of the box, so I need something to go by. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to take this decal, I'm going to dip it in some water for about 5 seconds, and then I'm going to apply it to the side of the truck. Dip it in there. You can about 5 seconds, get it out of the water. This should slide right off on the side of that truck. One of the things that you need to watch out for is one, you don't want to scratch it or poke it. Two, if there's any kind of dirt and debris that is underneath the decal or on the side of the truck, you want to make sure that that gets off of there. Now, as you can see, I've got the decal to slide off on the side of the truck. That little pencil mark will go away when I clean it up, but you can see that the edges are starting to curl up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Q-tip and I'm going to dab it in the water and soak that, because what I want to do is I want to dab the edges to make sure that the decal sticks. And I'm just going to keep doing that until I get a nice, smooth, even surface. And that decal stays in place. It may take a couple of seconds to do that and a little bit of patience, but it'll pay off in the long run. Because you don't want your edges curling up and then drying, because then it's not going to look very good. Some of these bigger decals, you may need to be careful. Some of the smaller ones I blot with the Q-tip to make sure that I don't move it. But what I'm trying now is that any air that is underneath this decal, I'm trying to get it out. Want to make sure that your Q-tip stays wet, because you don't want it to dry and start pulling and damaging the decal. This water will dry. Once I get it flat and centered, yeah, it's nice and flat and centered, and that looks pretty good. Once this sets, I'll flip it over and do the other side. Okay, there is one side, or one decal, and it's only been about maybe 10-15 minutes since I turned the camera off, and as it started to set, you can see most of the water is dry. Even though I just cut that decal out square, I did not go right along the edge of the Lowe's decal. It doesn't look pretty bad. You know, close up you can kind of see that, but it'll blend together once I put the truck all back together and give it a couple shots of dull coat. But like I say, it's only been a couple of minutes. It's just a matter of working with the decal. Like I say, I used a wet Q-tip to dab it, make sure that it sets. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, and just be careful that I don't pull that up while I'm doing it. Okay, this is the second decal on the other side of the truck, and you can see how I'm taking a Q-tip here that was dabbed in water, and I'm just smoothing out any wrinkles and any air bubbles. You should be able to tell by looking at it with the naked eye whether or not you've got any air bubbles or any wrinkles underneath there, and you just need to work with it. It only takes a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds to do that, but the benefits are good because it takes about 24 hours for these decals to dry. There's the first side that we did. There's the side that we're doing now. After that dries in 24 hours, that should be completely clear. I can tell just by looking at it that it's already starting to dry. The air or the water underneath the decal on the first one is starting to dry out. So we're doing pretty good. And it should dry almost completely clear when we get done. Okay, I've got the decals on both sides of the box. I say we're going to set this aside, because this is going to need to dry. I'm going to make sure that I don't touch either side of it. And like I say, I'm just going to set this aside, because now we need to get the cab, and I need to get these little upside down, these little Lowe's decals on the doors. The black print or black numbers that are underneath the Lowe's decal was supposed to be a US DOT number, but the printer couldn't handle such small numbers, so I'm just going to cut them out of there. So we're going to cut this out, get the door decals on there, and that should be it for the decal. Here is the door decal, and I've already soaked it in the water. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to set this on the cab there and slide the decal off. You see the decal starting to slide off there. Want to make sure that the decal stays on and the paper backing for the decal comes off. Sometimes because these are so small, you've just got to be careful with them. See how it slid right off? So now I just need to take that wet Q-tip. I'm going to move that around till it's in the position that I want it in. Going to try and get it in the middle of the door. Can't guarantee anything. May or may not be perfect. So blot that, the excess water and any air bubbles that might be underneath there, any wrinkles. There's the driver's door decal. Already got the passenger door decal on, so we just need to work this out and it should be pretty good. The reefer truck, I've just need to get these decals cut off with the decal sheet and water slide them on there. It'll only take a couple of minutes to do that. Once we get done, like I said, once we get done, we're just going to need to leave it sit for a day in order for the decals to dry before we seal them on there with some dull coat. So we'll go ahead and get that started. Hey, don't be afraid to work with this stuff. One, you've got some time, and two, it's a little bit durable. Now, I wouldn't be too overly rough with it, but as you can see, I've got some time with it to work on it. There's the one side. This is actually the driver's side. As you can see, we just need to get it into position. That looks pretty good there. I say I'm just going to take a wet Q-tip here and I'm just going to smooth this out, make sure the wrinkles and air bubbles are out. Once I get that, I'm going to flip the Q-tip around and try and dry up some of the excess water. Okay, let's see if we can get a door decal on here. These things are fun to work with, especially so small. Well, that didn't turn out too bad. Like I say, as long as it's wet, it's easy to move around and you can work with it. You just got to be patient with it. It has been over 24 hours since I started this project, and in that time period, I know I said about leaving things set for a day so that they cure or dry. I didn't like the way the Lowe's decal turned out on the side of the truck. You could not see it, but the clear area in this portion of the decal, I could still see, even though I went back and looked at the video clip and you couldn't see it. But when I cut the decal out, I just cut it square around the Lowe's decal. I could see it, and I really wasn't too enthused with it. So what I did is I went back and I eliminated that bottom line that said improving home improvement, blah blah blah. Made the Lowe's decal a little bit bigger, reprinted it, and then I cut it out around the actual logo so that you know, it looks a little bit better on the side of the truck. As you can see, also I did a little bit of weathering on the truck. What I did is I've got some of my wife's old makeup she doesn't use anymore. I just use the blacks and the grays up here with a brush. Apply it on the truck, the body. Dust it just like you're using chalks or powders. Here's the cab. Cab turned out pretty decent. That doesn't look too bad. I've also dull coated the trucks, make it look pretty good. Here's the cab for the Reese's delivery truck. I had the door decals on there, but orange on orange didn't turn out too well, even though they were different shades of orange. So I took them off and just made that plain. I say the last 24 hours I've done a lot of off camera, taking a look at things. Here's how the Reese's box turned out. I did a light coat of weathering on here because Hershey likes their drivers to take care of their trucks and keep them clean. They don't want them looking too bad. So there's a light coating of dust on there. What I need to do now is I need to put the trucks back together and finish up this project. So let me get going on that, and then I'll get back to you once I get the trucks back together. I have finished putting the trucks back together, so we'll just take a real quick look here as the finished product after adding custom decals and doing some weathering. Here's the passenger side of the Lowe's truck. There's the rear. There's the driver's side. You can see the door decal and the side decal. The door decal I rubbed off a little bit to try and make it look like obviously some wear and tear. Here's the front of the Lowe's truck. See a little bit of the black or dark weathering that I put on there. Here's the Reese's truck. I think this turned out pretty well with some light gray weathering. No door decal. The dull coat definitely brings the shine of these trucks down. I think the reefer truck turned out pretty well. There's the rear view, or the rear decal. Well, that pretty much does it for this video. As you can see, not really hard or difficult to add some custom decals to a HO scale vehicle for your layout. It just depends on what you're looking for. I hope this was pretty simple. It kind of explains some things, and hopefully you learned something, and maybe you'll try it out on your scenery, make it a little bit more customized. As always, thanks for watching.